Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the class. Today we're going to have another pre-recorded, or I'm sorry, not pre-recorded. Today we're going to have another online class. This is going to be the last discussion about Adobe Photoshop. We only have, I think, two or 3 weeks before the semester ends. So we will use those remaining few weeks left and in introducing to you the next industry standard application, which is Adobe Illustrator. Now, 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks may not be enough in learning Adobe Illustrator, but at least if I'm going to be able to give you the basic knowledge about and introduce to you the tool, Adobe Illustrator, and then perhaps just introduce you the tool, the general idea on how to use it, when to use it, and basically if I'm going to be able to share to you some of the knowledge that I know, bisag katong mga basic lang, and then I guess that will be enough for you guys to be, if you really want to pursue graphic designing, you can continue learning Adobe Illustrator on your own. Okay, so today's gonna be the last discussion of Adobe Photoshop again. Next meeting we will continue with Adobe Illustrator. Alright, so if you have any questions or clarifications, please share it with the class. You can also send it right here in our in messages sa Google Meet. Okay, and I'm hoping na dili ta ma-interact of mga internet connectivity issues. Right, a while ago sa section B, the problema misconnection, putol-putol ang connection. Pero hopefully this time it no longer be the case. But anyway, just in case the internet connectivity got disconnected, please let me know and I'll try my best to reconnect right away. Just stay on the line, kumbaga, just in case I'll get disconnected, okay? So today we'll talk about learning digital mockups. So what exactly are digital mockups? What is it for? And why is it important in Adobe Photoshop? And how to do it? We're going to learn that today. So this is going to be the 10th lesson, Adobe Photoshop, learning digital markup. So what exactly is a digital markup? Digital markup, or DMU, is a virtual representation of the product and its parts, simulating the shape and spatial arrangement of its components or subsystem and parts of the production equipment. So it doesn't really, I'm not sure if that makes sense, but let's just say that digital markup is just a process of creating, let's say, a product design or simulating the shape, the format, the overall appearance of a product design or a product or a service before it's being produced. What about it's a way of designing how the product is going to look like once it will be produced in the real world, diba? So let's say, for example, here in our college, back then, maybe a few years ago, our college here in College of Art and Sciences, every year we have our college T-shirt, and especially katong sa times namo is our college will mag-handle of competition. Who's going to design the best t-shirt design and who's gonna win? Nana ba? So basically, our t-shirt design will ipagi na mo og dili siya in competition, but we will ask the students to design the college t-shirt, and if kinsa tong pinakanindot mo himo ang college t-shirt, something like that. Now, imagine if that's the case. You'll be creating a design, or you'll be asked to design a t-shirt print, or I'm not sure. If you'll be asked to design a t-shirt ba, it would be very impractical kung kinahanglan jud nimo i-print siya mismo sa t-shirt, di ba? Murabag mupalit jud kag t-shirt yun, imo jud siyang printan, and then i-present nimo. It would be very impractical because obviously it will cost you a lot of money, and it just doesn't really make sense at all. Now, unsaon siya? What do you think you should do if you wanted to present a t-shirt design? Dapat dili nimo siya i-print because that will be impractical. What should you do for you to be able to present a design, or to present how the t-shirt is going to look like once you print it? Unsaon tigin nimo siya? Anyway. Let's try again. If a client, for example, you'll be working on a client and the client asks you to design a t-shirt, to create a design for a t-shirt, are you going to print the design directly on your t-shirt so you can present it? Or what is the best way to do it? What is the best way for you to present your design? Anyone?
Ko-answer ka ng ipakita sa nimo sa imong sketch, sir, kung muuyon ba siya sa imong design.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. All right, so not just sketch, you're going to, okay, that's good, sketch. The best way to do it is to create a digital markup. When you say markup, basically you're going to create a design, you're going to perhaps take a photo of a t-shirt, and then you're going to apply your design to that t-shirt to see how it will look like if it's been printed in real life. What about you're going to create simulation? You say simulation, what about a representation on how things is going to look like? So yes, na naka-design, but once you already created the design, you have to place it on the t-shirt itself so that we will see unsa hitsura sa t-shirt kung printan siya ng design. Now, we don't necessarily have to print it. Matuta sa printing shop para pa-printahan t-shirt. It would be very impractical. You just have to create it out of graphics design. So that is called digital markup. So again, digital markup is just a virtual representation of the product and its part. A virtual representation meaning you don't necessarily have to bring the actual product on your own. You just have to create it on the editing tool like Photoshop, Illustrator, so on and so forth. So that's what we're going to learn today. We're going to create a digital representation or a virtual representation of products, something like that. So we will try to create a mock-up for, let's say, a cup, packaging, t-shirt, so on and so forth. Okay, that's going to be our discussion for today. This would be the last for Adobe Photoshop, and then soon we'll continue with another application, which is Adobe Illustrator. And anyway, with that being said, let's take a look at these examples of digital markup. So today we're going to create, I think, 3 digital markups. We'll start from the easiest one, just like this. This is an example of markup. We are just adding a wallpaper to the proceed. So again, today we're going to create digital markups. We'll start from the easiest one to maybe. All right. So, okay, we'll start from the easiest one, which is adding a wallpaper to a monitor. I'm sorry, guys. Medyo nawala yung control. Okay, anyway, and then we'll increase, or perhaps we're going to level up by by creating this. So basically, this is a markup on a what do they call this? A coffee cup, and then packaging, and then we will end it by on a t-shirt. We're going to create a markup on a t-shirt. However, I'm not sure if there will be enough time for us to really create a markup for a t-shirt, but at least you'll already get an idea on how it's gonna work. So I've already created a markup for a t-shirt, and later on I'm just going to give it to you so you can edit it yourself. Okay, so with that being said, let's start. Let me open up Adobe Photoshop real quick. And here. Let's start from the easiest one, which is adding a wallpaper to a monitor. So I guess this would be the easiest to mark up, and we'll try to increase the level of the activity as we go along. So again, if mawala ang connection, please, pasensya irajud, just stay on the line. I'll try to get back as soon as possible. Alright, so here it is. This is going to be our first photo, and our job is to add a wallpaper. Okay, so first of all, let's try to characterize how it's gonna look like. Unsa siguro hitsura sa picture kung i-display siya sa screen compared it to the same picture nga i-display sa photo paper. Diba? For example, nakay duha ka picture, ang usa gi-display sa screen, monitor, ang usa is nasa photo paper. What should be the difference, guys, on how they will look? Unsa siguro yung kalahian nila? Anyone? Try to imagine if nakay duha ka picture, ang same na picture, ang usa gi-display sa screen, ang usa na sa photo paper. What do you think are the difference between the two? Can anyone try to characterize or describe the difference between them? Anyone? Anyone? Will I try to describe what is the difference between a picture displayed on a screen, monitor, or on the photo paper?
Ang sa screen, sir, kay dali pwede rang ma-edit kung busog.
Alright, kuan, ang ilang appearance ba? Ilang appearance. If na kay duha ka picture, for example, pictures in graduation, ang usa gi-print sa papel as sa photo paper, ang usa naa sa imong phone or nasa screen. Unsay difference nila ug imo itandi? Alright, it's okay. It's para mamata. Most of the time, the pictures that appear on monitors are medyo mas taas siya brightness, mas taas yung contrast, and maybe saturation. Kumbaga, mas sharp ang yung color compared to different sa papel. It's because the pictures printed on photo papers will rely on the quality of the photo paper itself, will rely on the ink that was used. So, ina na ba? So, tendency is that pictures that appears on monitor are more mas bright siya, mas high contrast, and it's just more accurate than the photo paper. Do you agree? Mag-agree ba? The reason why I'm asking that it's because once we added a wallpaper here, we will try to make the photograph with higher brightness, higher contrast, and more saturation. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's start. First is we're going to import the photograph that we wanted to add to our monitor. So to do so, click on File, and then click on Place Linked. Again, File, and then Place Linked. Okay, and then look for the photograph that you want to add. So let's say, kani. This is just a try lang kani. So this is a banner that I created for PS ComSci. So once you already added, just click OK or enter rather, and then on the layer on the right side, notice na na-layer na ma-create automatically. Make sure right click on it and then select Convert to Smart Object. Again, right click on the layer and then select Convert to Smart Object. Unsa nga layer akong gi-select? Unsa nga layer? Ang anyone? Please let me know, guys. Please tubag mo kay di ko sure if maputol ba ko linya or wala.
Did convert to smart object.
Okay. Asa nga layer akong gi-convert to smart object? Ang kaning atong wallpaper. Okay? So, again, right click and then convert to smart object. Why is it ngano man kinahanglan to siya convert to smart object? Because it will just make the editing processes easier and it will allow us to modify the pictures easier. Okay? And then, next is we're going to decrease the size. Dako na kaya itong picture, di siya maigo sa atong monitor. So, we're going to decrease it. How to do it? Control P on your keyboard. Again, Control P. And this control will display. Kana. We can use these controls to adjust the size or the scale of our photo. So, just move it. Okay. Just move it right here. And then, To make sure nga makip ang iyahang ratio, you may on your end you may need to press shift on your keyboard while you decrease the size. All right, and then click OK, click enter, and then zoom in. So obviously it's not yet done. We have to place it on the edges of the monitor. So to do so, let's do it again. Control P, Control T, and then this time right click, select distort. Okay, select distort because this time we're going to move the edges of, or the sides of, the edges of the pictures individually. So we can zoom it in para mas accurate. And let's start from the top left corner. Let's move it around on the actual edge of the screen. Same thing here. And connect. Alright, so again, once again sa kita na to, Control P and then right click. Asaan eh?
Distort, sir.
Distort. Alright, so when you click distort, you will be able to individually move the edges of the picture. So obviously you want it to be on the side where the screen should be. And notice nga ang mga monitor kadalasan na siya mga bezels. So make sure to leave enough space for the bezel of the screen. So actually that's it. That's just it. However, what if ganahan ko nga usbon ang picture? So I delete mo din ang picture. How am I going to do it? Do you have to replace the picture entirely? No, we don't have to. But before that, let's go back to our katong pangutana gaina. Ang pictures daw nga mo appear sa monitor sa screen, monitor sa PC, mas taas siya of brightness, mas taas siya of contrast and saturation. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to add our adjustment layer. We've discussed it a few times before. Select on the adjustment layer kani at the bottom right. So let's start from the brightness and let's increase the brightness a little bit. And maybe increase the contrast a little bit. And make sure that you click mask so that this will only affect to the picture itself. So this is before, this is after. Do you see the difference?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And then maybe we can add saturation, hue and saturation, and then same thing, we have to flip it, and then let's increase the saturation a little bit. So this is before the saturation. This is with the saturation. Okay, so it can look more natural, realistic this time. Now, going back, what if I wanted to change the color of the picture because I don't want this picture anymore? Unsaon ako nga mausog siya? Remember that we converted our layer to smart object. This is where it's very useful. Since we converted it to smart object, we'll be able to change the picture easier. All you need to do is just double click on the layer itself. Okay, i-double click lang nimo ang layer itself and this will appear. The actual picture will display and you will be able to change the picture from here. So let's say for example, ganahan ko nga butangan ako siya og NORSU logo. So let me look for the logos. For example, ganahan ko usbon ng a picture. Hold on, let me check. Again, file, and then place embedded, and then NORSU. Let me select that photograph, and let me paste it right here. So for example, muna ni final sa design. Then all you need to do is go to file, and then save. And once you're done, if you go back to the original photo, the changes will automatically be added. Okay. So let's try again. Let's see, ganahan ko nga instead of blue, ganahan ko mahimo siyang, let's say, green. So I'm going to add a adjustment color. I'm going to use hue and saturation. I'm going to select blue and I'll set that all blues must be green. So, and I want katong color blue to be color green. And then same thing, once you're done, file and then save. and once you go back to your original work, the changes will be applied. Ano lang. So that's why we have to
Sir,
convert.
excuse me.
Go ahead, Artego.
What if kuan sir ka ng entire photo gid mo ang
Mm.
ilisan sir?
Okay,
Dili
that's
lang ang
good.
color og nang add.
Same thing. All you need to do is, for example, ganan kong isla ng picture itself. I can delete na ako ang uban nga mga object nga akong na-add. So I'm going to delete that. Here, unfortunately, I cannot delete this. Now, di na ako na siya ma-delete. However, the layer itself, because it's already been linked. However, pwede na ako siyang tabunan. Tabunan ako na siya. Let's say, ako na deleton. I'm sorry. For example, tabunan ako siya color white. So, I'm going to highlight it out. I'm going to use kaning bucket tool. I'm sorry. So, kanan lang. Pwede pong tabunan lang by adding new layer rather. Okay, so since I cannot delete this photo because it's already linked, I can just add an entire new layer and perhaps add another photograph to it. Dili na to siya ma-delete ang picture itself because nakalink naman siya, pero pwede na to siya nga tabunan. Diba? So, let me look for a wallpaper. Example ka na. Hold on, let me try again. File, place embedded. Kani. And then, let me increase the size para matabunan siya entirely. And press OK. And then, same thing. File, save. And let's go back. The changes will also be applied. So, we cannot really delete the entire layer. It's because nakalink naman good siya. Diba? So, however, instead of deleting it, ato na siyang tabunan. Diba? And then, you can change the photograph again. Just double click on it again. And then maybe this time you can delete it. You can place another photograph. Okay, file, place embedded. Let's say, kani, place, and then let's increase the size to cover it, the entire thing. And oops. Okay, pwede pa nimo add og text if you'd like to. Ano may text ang ibutang? This is just an example, right? Okay. Example ka na. Example rin siya. And then, basta mo, if kahumanan nimo, make sure just to save it. Make sure to save it and go back to your original file and then it will display it. The changes will also be applied here. Okay? Alright, so do you have any question in this steps or this gibuhat? Is it easy? Do you think you'll be able to do it on your own?
Yes sir.
Alright, that's good. Okay, so let's proceed to the next. This one right here. So we're going to create a digital markup out of this coffee cups. So let's point out the difference between the two. Kani, sayon ra siya kaayo because we have flat ang ato or the edge the screen of the monitor has flat edges. That means it's very easy for us to adjust the photograph to the monitor, diba? Because flat man, straight man ang yahang edges, so sayon ra siya kaayo. However, what happens if the surface involved is no longer flat? Same thing nahimo siyang murag tube or nahimo siyang curved. So we'll have to find a way to make our design look like it's also wrapping in this tube or in this kaning mulibot siya aning baso. So we'll try to find a way that our picture will look like it's curving, diba? because dili man siya flat, unlike sa katong monitor kani sa endo siya kayo flat raman. How about this? All right, so let's open it up, let's try it. Let me close it, and let me open it up. Here it is. Okay, so first thing that you're going to do is, this is murabag sa kadugay na lang na akong ka-design. This is one of the most important thing to do first. You always have to duplicate your initial photograph. That means if na problema kita na erase na na-erase nimo ni and daghan na kay kang gibuhat di na madala og Control Z, you can always go back to the original one. Okay, so that is one of the trick that perhaps I can share with you. Every time that you'll be working on a project, always make sure to duplicate your first image first, just like this. So how to duplicate? Control J or right click, then duplicate layer. Alright, so next is we will paint the lead or ang taklob, pinta lang nato og, let's say, black or any other color. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. So to do that, we have to create a selection. So in our previous meetings, I've already taught you how to create selection. Nailahilain paagi how to create selections. We have here kading lasso tool, kulay ko na lasso tool, magnetic lasso tool. We have quick selection tools, and we have pen tool, something like that. And again, there are several ways on how to create selections. It would be totally up to you which one to use, since I've already discussed it with you a few weeks ago. So again, it will be up to the designer which type or which way of selection in selecting is he going to follow to create a selection. Alright? But in my case, in this kind of situation, ang akong usually nga ginabuhat is, since we have straight lines, kana bang fine lines ba? I'm going to use a pen tool because pen tool offers a more accurate, para nako, mas confident ko mo gamit og pen tool when it comes to this edges, kanang fine edges ba, kanang dili siya like buhok nga daghan kay wiris-wiris. Since straight ang iyang edges, I'm going to use pen tool. So that's what I'm going to do. We're going to trace the lid ng taklob sa atong baso. So using pen tool may take a lot of time of getting used to. Kinsay ga try og pen tool na? Kinsay ga try og pen tool? Alright, that's good. Unsay mo gamit sa pen tool usually, man?
Nakatry lang ko, sir, katong sa car ba to?
Okay. Right, that's good. So most of the time, whenever the edges of the object is kanang fine, like this one, kanang straight ra siya ba? Kanang walay mga wiris-wiris, walang gansang-gansang, then I would suggest to use pen tool. However, using pen tool is a little bit complicated. Anyway, nag-record ko og tutorial on how to use pen tool. I'm going to upload it soon. It's not part of our lesson. It was just a mere tutorial on how to use pen tool. So I'm going to use pen tool. I'm going to trace the edges of the lid or ang taklob. So again, using pen tool, you just have to click and drag to create a curve line. And alright, so dito na ko siya kaayo accurate, because it will take, making things more accurate will take a lot of time. So we don't have a lot of time. So I've already traced the edges of the lid. This time we're going to create selection. So using pen tool, right click and then make selection. And then this will display. Alright, let's continue. So once we're done with the pen tool, once we're done tracing the edges, right click and then make selection. This will display. Click OK. Okay, thank you. Entire screen. Alright. Okay. So you already know how to create selections. Balik na po. So good. Again, once you're done with the pen tool, right click and then make selection and then click OK, and the selection will be made just like this. You already know how to do this, diba? Kaning na ay selection, kaning na ay murag sapat nga magdagandagan. So that means that area is already selected. So we're just going to fill it with color. So how are we going to fill it with color? Using the adjustment layer. So click it right here, add new adjustment layer, and select solid color. Okay, and then choose the color that you want. So in my case, I'm going to use black. However, when selecting color black on your works, don't select the katong pinaka-black yun. I select ang pinaka-black because it won't really look realistic. So I would suggest just choose about 80 to 90% dark lang yun siya, just like this. This is the total black. We don't want that. We only want, let's say, about 90 or 80 to 90% of black. We're about dark gray lang. And then click OK. After that, we're going to change the blending mode. So here, this is the blending mode. Click on it and then select multiply. Okay, once you selected multiply, you will see some of the highlights of the photo. And obviously, it doesn't really look realistic. We have to blend it. So how to blend it? Right click on the adjustment layer, select blending option, and then here, kaning slider nga nas pinakaubos, on the right side, kaning underlying layer, on the right side na ay murag arrow, click on it, move it to the right until you see some highlights, some fuzziness on the highlights. Alright, so once you see that, click Alt on your keyboard, again Alt, and then click it again to break it down para ma-break siya. Alright, kabantay mo, duwa na siya kabuok, natunga. And then continue with the adjustment. Move this to the middle to adjust the blending even further until such time that it will look more realistic, just like that. Okay? Then click OK, and then try to zoom it out. Does it look realistic now? Mura na ba siya tinuod tanawon?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright, so this is the after. This is the before. This is the after. We can always change the color if you'd like to. Just double click on it, and perhaps let's change it to red, diba? Kana. We can also change it to, let's say, yellow. Perhaps green, blue. It would be totally up to you. But for the meantime, let's set it to black. Not exactly black, but just light dark, dark gray rather. Not completely black, because if we're going to set it to black, sometimes it will not really look very accurate. It will not look realistic. So this right about here would be enough. And then click OK. So we're done with the lid. The next thing that I usually do is I have to group this, because kinahanglan akong i-group akong layer. This is just optional. It's not required, but optional is you have to group this one right here. So to group it, just click on the group icon, and maybe I can name this lid. But it's a good practice nga if daghan na kay kang layer nga buhaton, make sure to group the layers that are similar. So once I grouped it, pwede na ako siyang hide. Just like that. Okay, this time we're going to add the design on the bucket itself, or I'm sorry, on the cup itself, right? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer, and then we're going to select the shape tool here. And in this case, there might be chance na lahi-lahi nga shape ang display. Just right click on it and then select rectangle tool, or you can just press U on your keyboard. Again, if in case lahi ang shape na naadire, just right click and select rectangle, and then all we need to do is we're going to draw a rectangle on the body of the cup. It doesn't really have to be accurate. We just have to draw a small cup. We just have to draw the body in which we're going to paste the design on the cup itself. All right. So once we draw the rectangle, the property will display. What I want you to do is go to the stroke under the appearance na ay stroke diya, we'll have to remove the stroke because it maglisod taon niya. Basi maglisod ta pag-add sa ato ang actual design. So to remove the stroke, kanina ay nakabutang nga stroke, or basically it's the margin ba? Outline. Click on it and select this box na ay red na slash. That means that is an empty stroke. We're going to click on that, then mawala na siya. So press OK to see. Here it is. Oops. And now. Alright, next is same thing. We're going to convert this to a smart object. So right click and then convert to smart object. In that way, we'll be able to easily edit it later on. So once we've already added the we've already converted it to smart object. This time we're going to add the design in the rectangle right away. So all we need to do is just double click on it. Same thing sa ato ang wallpaper gayna. Double click on the layer itself. And this will appear. This time we can start changing the color. We can add more designs, so on and so forth. Okay? So let me add a logo here. Na ako'y logo nga create. This is a logo that I did from an online job. I had a while ago. So let me get to it. Illustrator. Tara. Okay, so let me paste it right here. And then perhaps I can change the background color. So again, dili na ako siya pwedeng i-delete because nakalink na siya. Pwede rin ako siyang tabunan, blank color. Let's say I want it to be kanang medyo orange kamay. Kana. Alright, and basically you can add more, but don't you worry, you're not done with the design yet. You can still get back to it later on, just like what we did a while ago. And once you're done, click File and then Save. And go back to the original photograph, just like that. So notice nga ni automatic na siya og add, diba? Same thing sa itong wallpaper gayna. This time, we're going to make it fit to the cup itself. So Control T on your keyboard. And notice that once you press Control T, nanay mga control na magawas. Same thing that we did with the wallpaper a while ago. Right click and then distort. And this time, let's try to make it as accurate as possible. Let's move the edges to the edges of the cup itself. So, for example, kani, then we move it right here. It would be best if you can zoom it in to be accurate. Now, and then here at the bottom, I'm going to move this edge and move it right about here. And same thing, ane. Do you follow, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's good. All right. So okay, so it's starting to look like a cup now. But this time we have to pwede ato siyang himuon nga mura siyang nihag. Ang papel mismo mura siyang nihag sa cup itself. And then here's what we're going to do. Right click and then select warp. Diba gaina distort? This time we're going to select warp. And notice that the control has changed. So there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points on each side. We will use these points to control how the picture is going to look like. So we'll start at the bottom. Click on one of the dots. I'm not sure if you see the dots, but not sure dot here. Click on that and then click and drag it to the bottom. Alright? But this time around, you have to be very careful because you have to be patient rather, not careful. You have to be patient on how you're going to move this around because it will also guide the actual object or katong rectangle kay na murabag imura siyang i-control in a way that the objects will fit on the cup itself. Alright? Anyway, don't you worry if dili pa na siya accurate kayo, we can always get back to it later on. Okay, so let's do the same thing at the top. Let's move it right here. Okay, so kinahanglan na siya gamay practice because you have to make sure that the 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 markup will be as accurate as possible. Yeah. Okay, so it's starting to look like realistic now, but right here, dili pa kaya siya realistic sa tunga, so you can always just click on the middle, and then move it to the bottom. Same thing here, and continue with adjusting the edges. Do you follow, guys?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. So medyo tricky running apart. It's because you have to make sure that the... Okay, next question. Okay. Okay, and once you think you're done, if feeling nimo okay na dyan siya kayo, I'm not gonna take a lot of time here, but you get the idea, right? So once you feel it's close enough or it's accurate na, just click enter on your keyboard. And anyway, if ganahan kang usbo nimo, you can always go and Control T, and then right click, and then warp, and then continue with the adjustment. But make sure nga imo siyang convert as smart object para sa iyo ra kainin mo ang pag-manipulate ani. Okay, so after that, right now, although the picture or ang picture is ni warp na siya or ni flow na siya with the with the surface of the top, it still doesn't really look realistic at all. So this time, go to the blending mode again, kani, and select multiply, and then right click, and then blending option. Same thing, we'll try to blend it even further. And at the bottom right, move it to the left until you'll see some highlights. And then click out, move it back to the right, and then just continue with the adjustment. And then once you're satisfied with the outcome, click OK. And here it is. Now, notice nga na ay daghan kay mga sayop-sayop. A good thing that we converted into smart objects, because if we're going to get back to it, we'll just continue adjusting the warp. So right click, and then let's move it up. Okay, and that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So that is how to create a markup on a kind of dili flat surface, just like this. Do you have any question? Or do you have anything that you'd like to add? Maybe na ako yung mga na-miss or na yung mga nalibgan. Please let me know. Do you have any question? What about if this? Kanina adyo yung mga problema. Go ahead, Ortega.
Katong sa adjustment, sir, no, sa ilalom lang gid ta siya nga part katong sa blending option niya sa katong sa multiply gani.
Actually, in this case, bisag ako di kay ko memorize, dili na kay na ko memorize ni mga inani, because usahay mas imurang pangitaon og asay better nga option ba. Imurang tryan og asa. Pero usually kaning bottom right corner mo ni magipasabot kani.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Sometimes this will work better. Sometimes this area will work better. Pwede pag usahay kani ang work better or kani. But usually in this case, if like kani ang background or ang kanabang original na tong picture is light, mostly dire ko mo gamit. But let's try the other sliders. So let's set it back here. Let's try this. Let's move it to the right. Pero imura siyang tryan o maayo ba siya? Nindot pa siyang tanawon. Here kani. It doesn't really do anything. Kani. Pa siya angay. So that's not it. Let's try this. Let's move it to the right. And then try to blend. Okay, it doesn't look good as well. Na, murag bate yang hitsura. Let's try this. Kana. Otro po, wala Japon siya angay. So, I guess the best way is this one. Kana. Magtanawon ra niyo ba? Depende lang. Depende mo gud sa object o for example sa iyang color pod ba. So in this case, since light ang yung background, usually it's on the bottom right corner. Kani. This will allow the blending it work even more. Okay, did I answer your question, Ortega?
Yes, sir.
Alright, and you can continue working on the kanang mga sayop-sayop. Let's say here, if kapuya na ka mubalik sa warp, if kapuya na ka ani mag-sig adjust, na-adjust mga kapin-kapin, you can use all the knowledge that you've learned in the past with Photoshop. So let's say for example, pwede na ito mo gamit og mask tool, okay? And then if you wanted to remove some of this mga kapin-kapin, just paint it with black. So I'm going to decrease the hardness, and then I'm going to paint the edges with black. Okay. And to make it more realistic. If ganahan kang ma-perfect siya ngayon. So basically you can use all the other knowledge that you learned from our previous lesson in retouching, kumbaga, that's the term, retouching the object for the appearance. But anyway, I'm not gonna take a lot of time with the retouching. Obviously, if you'll be doing it on your own, you have to do it. But at least you already get the idea on how to create a markup here in this kind of situation. Alright? So do you have any question with this markup? Nagets ba ni? Do you think you'll be able to do it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. Alright, next is, obviously, di ko sure if kabalong mo save. To save it, you just have to select file. And then there are two ways na I export. Export as. And just follow the instruction, follow lang ang mga settings. Or select file and then save as. And then, if you want it to be kind of high quality, make sure to save it as PNG. But if just regular picture, save it as JPG or JPEG rather. Okay. And then again, you can, if you cannot usbo ng picture, just double click on the layer itself. Double click on the layer, and then you can edit it out. But for example, kailangan kumahin mo siyang blue. That's why it's really important to convert the object to smart object first. Example kana. We're going to save it. And go back. Obviously, I don't want it. It doesn't really look good. Let me keep it this way. Save that, and then here it is. Okay, let's proceed. How about if we're going to create packages just like this one? So let's have another example. Okay, how about this? This time it's flat. However, naa siya iyang perspective. Kabante mo? So this is a box. If we're going to create a packaging markup. So although pareha siya sa katong wallpaper sa monitor gaina nga flat, but this time kabante mo naa siya perspective. Kaya bang 3D object siya ba? Although it's flat, but it's 3D. How are we going to create a markup design out of it? So there is another way to do it, and perhaps there are many ways to do it rather. But perhaps the easiest and perhaps pinakatarong na paagi is this. Of course, we're going to duplicate our image just to make sure, and then select the photograph that you want to design sa packaging. So I'm going to open it up. Open, and let me look for a packaging design. So this is only given if you've already created a packaging design, guys. Okay, this would be my packaging design. Alright? So the first thing that we're going to do is make sure to copy it. Select kanang marquee tool, and then highlight everything, and then control copy. Again, use the marquee tool, select the entire thing, control copy or control C. And then go back to markup or katong imong box, and then go to filter and click vanishing point. Again, filter, vanishing point. This this dialog will display. So what it does is it will allow me to create a vanishing point. I'm not sure kung say pasabot o vanishing point, but this is how it's gonna look like. First is you're going to click on the pinaka edge sa box. Let's say kani. Click on the first edge, and then next is click on the second edge. Kana. So basically, you're going to create a box. We're going to trace the plane, ang flat nga area sa box. You're going to trace the flat area of the box. And once katong imong selection nag-abot, mo create siya og inani. Mura siya og nets. Nana ba? Mo create siya og graph. So that's good. Next is we have to select this area as well. So how are we going to do that? Click Control on your keyboard. Again, on your keyboard, click Control, and then here naa siya box na square gamay dire. Click on that, and then drag it to the right. Okay, let's try again. Okay, let me try again, guys. Okay, alright, kinawala. So let me trace the edges of the plane, and then click Control on your keyboard, and click and drag it right here. Now the Photoshop will try to mo try siya og trace sa edges of the box. However, in some cases dili siya perfect, just like this. So all you need to do is zoom it in, and then still click Control on your keyboard and just adjust the edges. By the way, you have to select the create. You have to select the create plane tool at the top there. Sorry, and then click and then move it. Okay, let me try it again because okay, let me try. Let me just start over. Okay, alright. So again, this time we're going to select the plane or the flat part of the box. Select, click on the filter at the top. Click Vanishing Point, and then make sure you click kani kadua. It's called Create Plane Tool. By the way, naka-share screen na ba ko? Yes. Alright. Again, make sure to select Create Plane Tool and then start tracing the edges of the box. Kana. So click here, kana. Okay? And once you're done, on your keyboard, we have to select this as well. Select po natin eh. But we have to combine this two together. So on your keyboard, click Control, and then select this spot right here, kanang gamay nga box. Click and drag it towards the edge of the box. However, this may not be very accurate, so you have to zoom it in and then adjust. So click on the edge, move it right about there, and then same thing at the bottom, same thing, move it dirilapita. So this may be a little tricky, but just make sure you'll be able to adjust it. And perhaps it will help if imong i-click ang control on your keyboard. So I think this is pretty close. Here, napadede. So make sure nga ma-cover nimo ang tibuok box. Okay? And then, di ba, gi-copy man nato tong picture kay na? Gi-copy nato. This time, we're going to paste it here. So, Control V. Alright, and the picture will display. Di ba, gi-copy man nato ni before? So, make sure to copy the design first and then paste it right here and move it to the object. Kana. So notice nga ni automatic siya adjust to the box itself. So mura na siya, kana bang ni automatic siya og adjust ba sa perspective sa box. So let me put it right here. Kana. Okay? And once you're done, click OK. And that's it. However, it doesn't really look very realistic. Same thing, to solve that, we just have to adjust the blending mode. So select multiply. Alright, that already looks better. And then right click, blending option, and then same thing that we've been doing, just to make sure that it will blend even more. Move it to the left side, and then click Alt on your keyboard, move it to click Alt and move it to the right. Then continue with the adjustment. Okay, and then press OK. And then you can, again, ganahan mong isolve, ganahan dyan mo nga kanang nindot siya kahit tanawon, you can use layer mask and then remove this area nga mga nang lapaw-lapaw. You just have to use what you've really learned about layer masking. Okay, and then let's add for the second one. The second one should be a lot easier because flat rigid siya nga box, wala siya perspective. So same thing, filter, vanishing point, and then click on the create plane tool, and then same thing, start tracing the edges of the box. And then you can adjust it. Just click Control on your keyboard para sa'yo na yung pag-adjust. And when you think it's perfect, click Control V na pod para i-paste na pod ang design. And just drag it here. For example, kana. Click OK. And that's it. Alright, obviously, this is not yet very accurate. To make it as accurate as possible, tanang-tangon nimo ang mga kapin-kapin using the layer mask. The one that I've taught you in our previous lesson. Alright, Sayendra, di ba? Sayendra?
Lisod, sir.
Okay. Dahan lisod. Anyway, don't you worry. I've recorded this class. If you wanted to kailangan mong i-review for your assignment soon, you can always rewatch it later on. So that's it. Do you have any question with these steps? May mga question? Okay, let's review. Katong wallpaper gay na. I'm sorry, na question, Palomar?
Wala ra, sir.
Okay. Alright, so let's have a quick review on what we just did. First is, the first thing that always make sure that the first thing that we're going to do, for example, let's go back katong monitor. Okay. So once we place the object, like let's say the picture, make sure to select file and then place linked. Okay, and then select the picture that you wanted to add. For example, kana. And it's important to always convert it to smart object. Yeah. Click convert to smart object, and then once you selected smart object, you're going to adjust the size. So Control T. You can use scale kung ganahan ra kang pagamian or padak-an, and then you can use distort to adjust each side individually. Nana. And then in this case, katong baso, if you wanted to create curves from the design itself, you have to click Control T. And then katong warp yung gamitan. And then na-close na ako. Sa box itself, whenever we're going to create a markup on straight lines like box. Kung straight lines nga na siya perspective, na siya 3D perspective, then we will use filter vanishing point. Okay, unsa ang gito pag mag vanishing point? Click ni mo na and then select create plane panel, create plane tool, and then start tracing the edges, ang flat nga edge, and then click control and then drag the edges to the right side. All right? So let's try that again. So na to balik ng kanang vanishing tool. Let's look for a photograph na let's say isa man stair. Concrete stairs. Okay, let's try this again. Try na to na using another photo. Tuloy na kahina yung connection. Nagpabuyag ang connection. Alright, let's try to find a stair here na pwede na ito editon. Diba kamatay mo ang stairs na siya straight lines pero na siya 3D effect. So, let's try kanina. Click natin sa itsura ni. And after that, I'm going to upload this class on our YouTube channel, and I'll send it to you guys so that you can practice it yourself. Okay? Do you have any questions, guys? Okay. Do you think you'll be able to do everything that we just discussed? Especially katong na yung mga PC?
Maybe.
Okay. Just try, okay? Try lang good. For those who doesn't have any personal computers at home, okay, katong mga wala personal computer or laptop at home, basically if try na lang if na paagi nga makalagin mo sa mga mga PisoNet na try, but if wala gyoy laing paagi, just go on the assignments that I'm going to post, just try to list the step-by-step procedure and how it is done. Okay, so for your assignment, I'm going to post it now. I'm going to let you to look about yung assignment. Tulo ba ka activities ba? First is you're going to recreate this. Kaning wallpaper. Next is you're going to create a mock-up for this one right here. You can decide whatever design you want, and then this one, and then next is kani. Okay, and also as a bonus, I'm going to send you a file, this file right here, so you can practice. Again, I've created a mock-up for a t-shirt. Nagdama ko og mock-up na t-shirt here. Hold on. Let me show it to you. Okay, I'm going to give it to you, and perhaps you can practice on it because everything is gimak-up rin tanan. For example, ganyan kung i-change ang color sa t-shirt, then I'm just going to select the, let's say, body design. This one right here. Naka-label rin na siya tanan. All you need to do is just double-click on it and then change the color. So, for example, ganyan kung coloran siya of, let's say, red. So, I'm going to color it out. Save. And then go back. So, nahimo ng red ang back ang likod. Let's change the one at the front. Same thing. color red. Let's save that. Kana. Also yung color. So, if ganan mo i-change ang color sa color, let's say kani, let me change that to let's say white. So, I'm just going to the color. Yara. Color. I'm going to double click on it. And then change it to let's say white. Just like that. And kaning mga cuff. So, left cuff. Double click that as well. Let me change that to white too. And then the left sleeve, let me change the color on that as well. Let me change it to red. Save that. And then connect. So basically you can do whatever you want with this. And then as for the logo at the front, you can either change that as well. Just double click on it. Pwede nimo ring islan ning logo. So let's say tabo na ako na islan ako na og another logo from NORSU. I'm going to create a new layer, file, place embedded. Let me look for NORSU logo, just like that. And then click OK. And then save. And then go back. No. Alright, so this is just a practice so that we can do whatever you want in this. Perhaps I will consider this as an assessment. So I'm going to create a special group activity in our Google Classroom as assessment. And then just upload lang ninyo kung sa inyo hang na come up with this design. Would that be okay?